If you're wondering why I didn't make taking criticism and giving feedback as two separate topics, it's because something I personally believe is that if you understand how to take criticism, you can give stronger feedback. On both sides of giving and receiving criticism in order to improve something, we need to understand what is valid feedback. Just because someone has a complaint or says something doesn't mean it will improve the story. It's more them expressing their taste. I think it's obnoxious to hear how art is subjective when we have top-rated movies and stories that are in high praise, but it's a reality of this world. So typically, when I get feedback from someone, I try to think about how valid it is for the story I'm trying to tell. For example, someone could say that they thought Blaze from my comic Cold Bubbles should have had a cooler and more OP power than making bubbles, but that would defeat the story I was trying to tell. Blaze's story is about standing up to a bully who's insanely stronger than him. I wanted Blaze to be someone with self-doubt that had a higher wall to climb. I definitely could have power scaled it so Blaze's power was stronger and Kyle was even more powerful, but I wanted the story to be short and sweet, and I had other things I wanted to prioritize. A valid criticism would be something that keeps those factors in mind, so it's good to get an idea of what the creator is going for. For example, in the first draft of the comic, I really didn't like it. Blaze didn't feel like a believable person to me. He came off like a stereotypical anxious nerd. This was self-criticism, but it's valid. Not all self-criticism is. I workshopped in my head why I didn't like the old Blaze and how I could make him feel more right to me. The conclusion I came up with was to make him black. I'm kidding. The conclusion was to think about how I acted when I was scared, or how other people act. Typically, people try not to act scared. They try to act like they're being rational. They're looking at the odds and don't see themselves coming out of the situation okay. Risk versus reward. They believe it's not worth it, even though sometimes it can be. Believe it or not, you can gain a lot from not being a scared little goblin. Why is this criticism more valid? Taste! At the end of the day, you are the writer and not someone's puppet. If someone really wants something, they can write it themselves. They get more out of it than seeing a creator write something they don't like. Fanfics are free advertising, and sometimes you can see stuff you can do with your story that you never thought of. Just make sure you don't plagiarize from your fans. Just try to learn from it. For example, my buddy and I wrote comic fanfics of each other's series for writing practice. We didn't agree with every decision the other guy made. However, he liked the way I wrote how his MC's powers worked, which he came up with a power. I just gave it some drawbacks. He also helped me flesh out my magic system more. So in summary to the criticism part, you need to think about the story you're creating. You are the captain of the ship. The audience is your valuable passengers. They don't know where the ship is going. They just came for a good time. Maybe the passengers freaking out over an iceberg is valid, or because they don't know how decked out your boat is, they'll be happily surprised to see you plow through it. It's subjective! I've definitely seen story arcs I didn't like at first, but then I was proven wrong and I learned a lot more about writing. When it comes to improving, I think it's good to try to prove the bad thoughts wrong. I also think it's good to consider what other people are saying. If you hear people saying something like, "Could someone throw a pie or something?" What they're trying to tell you is they find your story boring. Art is subjective, but you could be lingering on a topic for too long, or just have something that's hard to get invested in. And unfortunately, if you want an audience, you need to figure out how to get people interested. One thing I see in stories that don't do well are ones that never crack jokes or have anything emotionally grasping. It kind of feels like watching characters spouting exposition and then seeing some die. Attack on Titan is a very dark show, however, it didn't forget to crack jokes, which got a good amount of people to fall in love with the characters. And that made it hurt more when certain characters died or when they did something awful that you know bothers them. They don't need to be clowns or have a potato fixation, but they do need to feel like a person we'd like or want to get behind, and good jokes can go a long way. Tone is a thing, but no matter where you live or how bad stuff gets, there's always something funny happening. If you really don't want humor in your story, then you better have some real emotion to back that story up. Nobody cares if a fake person dies, unless we enjoyed them, empathize with them, or feel for the other characters affected by their death. On the other end of things, somebody can completely kill their execution with jokes. I don't really have one that's really coming to mind right now, but I think where the problem stems from is the writer being insecure about moments that show vulnerability or sincerity. It's kind of like earnestly confessing to someone, and before you give them time to respond, you go, "Ha ha ha, just kidding, pull my finger." It's a response powered by a fear of rejection that makes someone lose out on a possibly amazing part of their story. I know nobody wants to pour their heart into a page and then be told it's cringe, but that's the path to evolving into a better writer. Stories like Kingdom Hearts are called cringe, but a lot of people like them. So I think you should give something your earnest attempt, and if someone says it's cringe, think it over. Talk to your friends. Not the hugbox friends or the assholes. The ones you feel are genuine or good at understanding stories. You might be surprised on what they have to say, or even given some golden advice on how to improve, whether it be by accident or on purpose. But either way, I think putting that down and taking those hits will make you a much wiser and more resilient writer. If you're afraid of people laughing at you, what got me to stop caring is the fact that I cared more about being a better writer. So don't ignore the audience, but don't bend a knee to them either. You're the captain, and a good captain listens to their people. But at the same time, they won't just put a hole in the bottom of the ship because the passenger thought it would look nice. Sure, a glass bottom to see the fishes might be nice, but you gotta think about how to install that before you start axing the floorboards. Speaking of axing, some of you came to the video axing the question about giving stronger feedback. So I'm sure you put together that you should think about what the writer is going for. However, some of us, like yours truly, are goddamn idiots. We can learn the wrong lessons from things, or start overcorrecting to the point that the writing becomes worse. For example, I had an artist friend who liked to draw pretty ladies. He draws other stuff too. He's a very skilled artist. Then one day, 2 YouTubers of the fairer sex started following his work, and that prompted him to start buttoning up his art more. His character outfits became less revealing, and his writing became more reserved, less dark, undaring, and dare I say, kid-friendly. And of course, because I'm an absolute edgelord and a pervert, I locked in on that. Someone in the audience might be thinking, "You're being a simp." But he wasn't trying to win the hearts of these YouTubers. One is married and a mom. I could tell he just didn't want to lose their respect. He started really ragging on what he drew more, like it wasn't worth any praise. That's when I gave my feedback. It wasn't a what he was going for kind of advice, but what I think would lead to him having a healthier outlook on his creativity. Because for starters, one of those YouTubers he respects has her characters in revealing outfits as well. Homie gets in his head a lot. He really struggles with self-doubt. I imagine a lot of creators who start buttoning up do. It's hard for some people to stand behind what they like when they feel like a crowd of people will have a problem with it, especially when they feel like they're going to step on the toes of someone they respect. I definitely don't like having beef with people. I hate getting bitched at. Hell, when I brought up the subject, I thought my mom, sister, and some of my lady friends would get mad at me, but instead of buttoning up, I ran my thoughts by them. So what I told my buddy is that he's catering towards imaginary demands. Those YouTubers followed his art before he buttoned up, and mainly he should think about the audience he wants to build. Does he want to win over an audience of people who will be constantly correcting him and make him repress what he wants to do? Or does he want people who enjoy what he likes doing? One leads to an audience that controls you. The other could lead to attractive ladies cosplaying as your characters, which is every straight male artist's dream. Or maybe I'm just projecting. I just know that even though I don't want drama, I'm going to piss off people regardless, so I might as well create what I want to make. It's healthier to focus on the people who will enjoy what I like and build for them, instead of focusing on the people I'm inevitably going to piss off. It's also unhealthy to rage bait people because at some point you'll meet someone who is bothered by that stuff, and they're probably not going to be the clown you thought they were. Putting your energy into your haters, real or imaginary, just ruins your fun, your creativity, and sometimes your drive. While being with an audience you can have fun with makes you want to create more. And you can make a lot of friends with that mentality along the way. Yeah, there will be haters. Some will definitely get to you. But I think it's good to breathe, acknowledge to yourself it hurt a bit, and go back to having fun. And please don't pretend to be the guy who doesn't care about what people say. It's cringy, and people see through it. Please just process the pain and move forward. So to wrap this up, or as I like to say, so in conclusion, for those who don't like me going into stuff through stories, the writer is the captain of the ship. No matter what the audience says, they choose where the ship is going. Even if they do everything the audience says, because the writer is the one holding the wheel. So think about where you want to take the ship. Measure feedback on your taste. You have an audience for a reason. Sometimes that feedback is just one person's opinion that a few people agree with, but not your audience as a whole. They don't know where the ship is going or what the ship is capable of. So if you want to go through a metaphorical iceberg, I say go right the ahead. A bad story won't kill anyone, and writers have recovered from bad stories, endings, and scenes. You're a human being. You're gonna mess up. Just power through it, learn from it, and make a better story in the future. And I personally believe it's better to mess up following your vision than to mess up doing what you think other people wanted you to do. If you don't feel like covering an important issue, then you don't have to. You're probably doing it a favor because most people just get pissed off seeing shit forced into media half-heartedly. Your art is your self-expression, not someone else's. They want to see it made, they can use their keyboard for something other than complaining. I'd love for there to be more fantastic stories that can change the way I think for the better, but I think it'd be more effective to hear from someone who's really passionate and has a lot of investment in it than someone who feels forced into it. I still think you should hear people out. Some people have some solid points that can really help improve your story, even if you don't agree at first. Run that stuff by your friends that have your story's best interest in mind. If you want to give valid feedback to someone, consider the story they're trying to tell and what they want to do with their lives. Not everyone wants to be a motivational speaker or a political activist. Some of us just want to make people laugh, and that's amazing, because we can all use a good laugh every now and then. And in the words of a man who self-appointed himself as captain, the wheel is in your hands. Keep trying to turn it towards greatness, even after you fail. Peace! Peace! Also, please share, like, and subscribe. I want money and to put my name out there so I can live the real man's dream of meeting a beautiful, single woman who's down to watch Baka Man with me.